Okay, getting set up here. People joining the chat. Hey, GM. See a couple people joining. I'm gonna switch over. We're gonna talk about what we're doing with wreckit and where this is all going. We'll get started here in just a few minutes. Feel free to add questions into the chat and I'll answer them on the stream. And then we're gonna look at some bugs with wreckit. Yeah, we'll talk about the tokens in just a little bit. So the main thing we want to talk about today is that wreckit is a tool that originally I built this week based on the Ralph Wiggum technique for people who want to ship code, right? At the end of the day, that's what moves the needle. We're not here. It's good to talk about this stuff. It's good to, figure things out and learn, but you're measured by the code that you ship and what you push out into the market. That's how it works. And that's why we came up with the build, ship, teach strategy for this community that just, again, kind of blossomed over the last 2 days. And that's really, again, the fundamental idea. This tool was built because I wanted to teach my team in my day job how to use the Ralph Wiggum technique to produce high quality software. That is the end goal. And Ralph Wiggum is a technique that requires some training wheels, requires some skill. But if you can figure that skill out, if you can manage it really well, it does a really good job at building amazing software. Now, there's, again, a lot of things that go along into that, but at the end of the day, that is the mantra. That has not changed. That won't change in the future. It's for putting ideas into the system and getting product, getting shipped PRs out the back end. And everything centers around that. And last thing is, we don't want to gatekeep what this looks like. We don't want to hold that knowledge to ourselves. This new AI boom that we're entering into is for everyone. Everyone, coders, non-coders, people interested in coding. These tools democratize the ability to build things. And we're going to make that even easier. So what are we going to do? What's the flywheels? A lot of questions about this right now. What I've decided is that this interface, this NPM package, which we'll pull this up right now. Yeah, it's great. It's a great way for people who know how to build already to jump in, test these tools, but it doesn't go far enough, right? And I think what a lot of devs, a lot of people I've spoken with, they don't even know what NPM is. And so when they want to jump in, like, you have to know what the command line looks like. You have to know what source control looks like, and it gets really tricky. So we're going to take this and we're going to package it into a downloadable app that makes it much easier to build and ship right from your computer. We're looking right now at making it even available on mobile and taking the Ralph Wiggum technique, taking the wreckit technique, and packaging it into an app. Now, what happens when you do that? You need LLM tokens, right? Token is the fuel of AI. If you don't have tokens, it's tough. You're stuck. You either are dealing with a local AI model, which is difficult to set up. There are tools to do that. They're not as high quality as the cutting edge. And you need fuel. So you have to fuel this thing. And what we're going to do is, you saw in the tweet I just posted, we're going to make that fuel available. So LLM tokens, think Open Router, if you've got some technical background. We're going to make that available in the desktop app for a fee. Now, you can kind of, again, there's a lot of DIY ways to do this. I've recommended the ZII coding plan. You can use this link to get 10% off, and it's a referral code. But we're going to take that to the next level and make a LLM service very similar to Open Router that you can do two things with. And these two things are really simple, but it's really key. First, it just plugs right into wreckit. Configuration and setup of the LLM is one of the key sticking points that we've seen in people adopting wreckit, right? Figuring this, getting your API keys, getting just the right setup, that needs to be easier. These product experiences are difficult for most people. That's number one. Second is there's a lot of questions around models and things, which models to use. We're going to make that part easier. And then lastly, you'll be able to pay with crypto. So you'll be able to take a crypto wallet and pay for those LLM tokens that will feed into wreckit. And then we plan to use the wreckit token as that community orchestration layer to bring attention to the products that are shipped with wreckit, and then highlight what those look like. And I've said this from the beginning, not my first rodeo when it comes to crypto. I'm not in a place like where the tokens that have come off of the wreckit token itself, the wallet, I've posted all of the transactions. You can, again, go back in my tweets and look up when I've claimed fees, when I've, again, bought into the token. This is not, again, I know how crypto works. We're all in putting those fees generated from the LP via the Bags platform back into this ecosystem. And we needed a way to do that. We needed a way to sort of kickstart this flywheel. And so you can see that we'll be publishing a rough view. I had some tokens in that wallet. All this happened pretty fast. And again, I was literally in an Uber on the way to the airport when this kicked off. So we've been catching up and shipped a website, got some of our stuff organized. I know the community side has been, there's been some great people that have formed the X community. We're getting there, and I've got some friends I've pulled in that are doing great work to help turn this into something that will have substance. If anybody saw my manifesto yesterday. I think pretty deeply about crypto things. I know I can go down the rabbit hole and some of these big brain thoughts, but crypto is not new, right? I'm understand it, know how to use it. I understand the trenches. I understand token go up, token go down. But what remains, no matter what, is the ideas and this future that we're going to be building together, and using the token as a platform to bring attention to this future. And that is the flywheel that will drive this future that we're trying to create. So again, we'll be publishing more on the website about this. We're going to keep it very simple. And again, the kind of the flywheel idea is that you'll be able to download a wreckit app. You'll be able to load that app up with tokens. You'll be able to buy your LLM through it. We'll take a fee off of that, so a small margin, and then we'll use that revenue to reinvest back into the wreckit community. And then any fees generated from trading the wreckit token will be funneled back into that as well. To what do we start with? It's very simple: build, ship, and teach. At the end of the day, my passion is about teaching others about these techniques, about spreading this as far and wide as possible, right? And look at where we've come from in just 18 months, with copy pasting into ChatGPT, and yeah, just things have kind of moved along really, really well. So there will be some more things that we'll talk about in terms of token syncs and utility for the wreckit token. The way the platforms work, we need a little bit more time to cook on those things, but we have some ideas. Again, pretty simple, that will burn and allow people to spend and burn the wreckit token. Part of it is working with the Bags platform. And again, we're going to take some time and get that right, because we've all seen plenty of promises that couldn't be kept. So I'm very cautious about, signing up for something that I don't think we can deliver on. So these plans that we've baked and prepared for today are straightforward. They're simple, proof of work, right? That's the headline. And so we're going to show that, and you'll see it on X and other spaces, and as we do more of these streams. So with that, I will take a look at the comments and see if there's any questions. I have not been in touch with Finn about vesting or anything like that. So I don't know if I've seen tweets about others, and I've heard that that's kind of part of it. There's no vesting or anything. I don't know if wreckit's quite reached that level, but we're going to take it there. So I hope to be in touch with him shortly. Hey, Scrandy. Yeah, I see. Chatted a little bit last night. Any other questions? Let's see here. Checking the socials. Don't see anything. Any other questions? Let's see here. Yeah, I saw that tweet. Crypto ATI. There's definitely some interesting things going on. Again, I know there's plenty of people in my community who have opinions. They've shared some of those opinions with me. Again, we're going to play it straight up, right? I don't know what else to say. So whatever happens, again, not my first rodeo here is all I'm going to say right now. And I want to be very careful to, again, promise one thing or another. I'm sure we'll be in touch with Finn soon. So, effective path for UA discoverability. So one is GitHub stars. right? Retweeting GitHub stars. This is a tool. You've seen some other clones that have, kind of hit some of that experience. We've got a bunch of unique things. So the way I can go into this right now. wreckit is designed as different than Ralph. Ralph, if anybody has researched and seen Ralph was innovative in that it was an infinite while loop that just pushed a prompt back into Claude code. Jeff has since built on that and has done some good work there. What wreckit did is it went off a different direction. And that was very intentional because the point is a lot of people come into the Ralph loop. They did two things, and I watched it time and time again. I did this. One, you jump in, you turn Ralph on. First time I did it, and we spend a lot on tokens now. 6 months ago when Ralph came out, first time I did it, I burned $50 in about 45 minutes. That was unheard of at that time, back in July. And it was very expensive. Immediately turned it off, felt bad about charging up the boss's credit card. And as time has gone on, as the models have gotten better, a couple things happened. Dex Horthy released through Human Layer. So you see I link Human Layer in the repo, the research plan implement workflow. He's done a number of streams on this as well. But the idea is you prompt your code base to research, plan, and then come up with an implementation plan that's fully automated for whatever you're doing. So I took that, and one of the outcomes of this are these markdown plans. I've done a lot of this by hand when I code with either AMP code or Claude code. I've output these markdown documents, and that's what I use to drive the agent. Now you have to review that, and there's again some thinking there. I don't want to go into there. We can kind of share those links, but the point of why wreckit works the way it does is each of those files for each story, each idea goes into a folder, and then you can review the contents of those files, of the output from the research and plan steps in that folder. And as I was teaching people, I wanted to see what they were putting in, because it is a little bit of a garbage in, garbage out, right? If anybody's used LLMs, the idea is that, you have to be, this is the whole prompt engineering thing. You have to be shaped with your prompts. So I wanted a record because, again, teaching people, I wanted to come in and coach them, right? This is me doing my thing. I have been at this a long, long time. I have been coding for money. I hesitate to say professionally. I got my first coding job where I was paid minimum wage, by the way, minimum wage in 1998. I've been coding for money for 27 years. AI is the biggest shift and change that I've seen in the industry in that entire time. And a key thing for me, a key element to all this right now is I want to pass it on, right? I want to teach other people. And that's where the genesis of Ralph, and I go back to our strategy. We've been very direct about this. Build, ship, teach. I want to take people through that process. And I know people, oh, Mike, you're a crack dev and all this different stuff. I get the degen trenches thing. And yeah, I'm happy to step up. This is what I do day in, day out. I've been doing it a long time. I'm going to continue to do it. I love those, unbothered, moisturized, staying in my lane, because that's my life right now. And it's great. I like, no complaints, and it's good stuff. But I want to pass it on and teach others. And wreckit was my way of doing that. It was a prototype. It, caught some good attention, and we're going to take it into something that, again, is going to be more of a sustainable product that'll allow people to ship faster. And we're going to turn it into something around this token, around this ecosystem. So go back and look at more questions. Yeah, stuff with Jeff. We haven't directly talked about wreckit at all. Just been pretty busy with Ralph, I think. So yeah, the AdWork toolbar is removing from IE6. If anybody sees or remembers that phrase that we used to put at the top of websites of your website is optimized for Internet Explorer, that was the problem jQuery solved. It built the foundation of interactive website development. So again, been around a long time. We're going to keep pushing and just want to spread this stuff as far as we can. So I'm going to do a little wreckit demo, and we're going to have wreckit. We're going to do some wreckit inception, and then I'm going to tease. So we're still pre 1.0. The plan is to release 1.0 today, and we'll do some teasing, and we'll take a little bit of break, but we've got some time today. So we'll be streaming, and we'll show wreckit working on wreckit and ultimately shipping 1.0 today. That's the next big thing. We're going to update the website with what I talked about. And yeah, we'll go through an explanation right now, Dash. I think that's a good idea. So, okay, so start with. So the first thing is you got to kind of start with Claude Code and what Claude Code does. So here I've got Claude Code installed. I'm running in dangerous mode. And first thing is we just want to ask Claude what Claude knows about this website. So tell me about this project. And Claude Code, the agent, goes off and begins gathering. You can see each of these are a tool call. So I'll explore and give you an overview. I'm going to read the README. And then I'm going to read package JSON. I'm going to read ideas prompts. And then it runs a CLI tool that runs autonomous agents through your development backlog while you sleep. It automates the research plan, implement, PR workflow. Ingest ideas, research plan, implement, and open a PR, file-based state. File-based state is because I want to look at the results of the prompts. And then that's a little over the, a little hallucination there. So LLMs don't always behave, right? That's where the Ralph Wiggum thing came in that they're dumb and friendly, but they're kind of in danger at times. So you have to have something to help kind of drive where it goes. So the other thing, it thinks I have this file open. That's why it picked up. So what wreckit did and builds on that is something here real quick. Wreckit builds on this idea of putting a single prompt, and we go through a number of steps to do the prompting. And you can see this now in the wreckit tool because there's commands for each step. Now, again, this is partly for the agent to tell itself what it's doing. And then again, that's a little sloppy right there. So we have ideas and idea. So I'm going to do a impromptu. We need to clean that up, right? That's as a coder, there is a thing for aliases, but that's not good enough. So we're going to clean that up. Which one? So you're going to help me right now. We're going to modify wreckit together. What do you think it should be? Should be wreckit idea with no S or wreckit ideas? Put in the chat what you think it should be, and I'm going to wait a little bit, and we'll go through the wreckit flow to clean that up. No, ideas. Back nasty. We got one vote. Anybody else? What do you think? There's, yeah. What do you think, crypto ATI? What do you, singular or plural? All right, we're gonna go back. Nancy had the one vote, so we're gonna go with ideas, and I like ideas too a little bit. That's kind of my preference as well. So I'll throw it in there. But what you do, and we'll use ideas. These go to the same thing. So we're just gonna clean up the command line. You start by capturing an idea. I do a lot of brainstorming. I love brainstorming in my code. So what's my idea right now? There are two CLI commands, idea and ideas. I want to consolidate them. Well, actually, they both do the same thing. I want to consolidate them to ideas. Sorry, Scrandy, voting's close. These naming stuff is like the hardest problem in all this. So it's not confusing to have two commands. So now we put that in, and the agent is helping us think through the problem, right? Agent goes back, and in the code, it goes through this ideas prompt, and it says you're parsing a document, and it is now figuring out what is it going to do. So I'll help you consolidate the duplicate commands. Let me quickly check the current implementation to understand the scope. So it's going to look and figure out what we want to do. So it's asking me some questions. Should idea remain as a deprecated alias that shows a warning message? We want to remove it entirely. I want to remove idea entirely. We haven't hit 1.0 yet, so it's safe to remove. Okay. Are there any docs or tests specifically mentioning the idea? I need you to research the code base for any lingering reference to idea and clean it up, including the README. Okay, so answered its questions. We're going to go back and take a look at what it did. So again, just to explain, there's stages to this process. And when I am doing this, when I'm writing this code, I'm building wreckit. I'm putting myself into the seat of a junior engineer, right? And I can't tell you, this is so key in that you have to go and really put yourself in their shoes. And I wanted the agent to do some of that work to wrestle with, what should this be? Because you got to think it through. Humans must be involved in this, and you need to use your brain. The AI can't do everything. And, prompting is inefficient, right? We want to be able to put in these ideas and have it refine before it goes off to do the work. So what this is going to do is it's coming up with the idea. Let's see what it came back with. Okay, good. The README only uses ideas. Sweet. So we don't need to change that. We searched the file. So it was going through and searching through what the ideas were. State names, not CLI names, changes made, remove the idea command, verified clean. So, okay. So this has been a problem. Interesting, where the agent gets a little aggressive, and it went and actually did the work for us. We're going to complete the process though and just hit done. We'll take a look at this because this is a bug I've been trying to smash down. And welcome to AI development. When you're done with an idea, you type done, and then the agent puts together, and you'll see it pop up right here, a plan. So it's going to capture the command to this items, and it's items.json. So what we've done, and now we've finished with this idea stage. There's a lot of ideas. As you get bigger ideas, that will result in 5 steps, 10 steps, and this can grow. It doesn't perform super well when it's one small step like this. And again, I was doing some work this morning to refine that. But here we see it did a full user story. So for those who worked in tech, that's what it did. It built a user story for what I wanted to do, explaining, adding my success criteria, and then scope, priority, urgency, low. So I think it went over its skis to go and actually do the work. Yeah. So it already did fix the bug, but let's go through the process regardless. So we have our items and ideas here, and then we just type wreckit, and it will start the TUI to go and start doing this work. So the agent now runs through multiple steps. Takes our idea, an item.json, it does a research report, a planning report, it does the work, and then it preps the PR. So when I post those videos of the agent running for 3 hours, I've queued up a list of 10 stories that I wanted to implement. It does them each in order. I made this comment on a stream a while ago. There's a lot of interest right now in building these multi-agents. And I think there's some really good research and projects here. And again, I think this is a thing in AI engineering that needs to be highlighted. And so it's this when a single user is working in one code base, I'm a big fan of doing work sequentially. When I'm using coding tools like Claude or AMP or now wreckit, which wreckit wraps Claude currently, it's important for those agents to go sequentially or sub-agents to go sequentially because they do too much, right? Right now, the current state of affairs is they do too much. And so when I, again, go back to, this is about teaching. And when I'm teaching a junior engineer, because we want as many people to use this stuff as possible, we want to make these tools available. I want a junior engineer to jump on the version of this that's going to make them successful and they're going to get good results, right? So we operate our agents sequentially and it goes one by one by one. So there was the idea of, what Dash explained of, how wreckit, the tool works. It queues up all this work and then it just works down the list and you can kind of see the results. So it's going through and doing all the tool calls. It's chatting back and forth. So the idea command's already been removed. It already knows this. And we're probably going to it got a little overzealous, right? These agents are pretty powerful. They can do cool things, but we'll see if it knows that the idea command has already been removed. So it may bail out on us here after it's been running. And we'll talk about cloud sandboxes. That's more of an advanced feature that I've been using and testing this week. But these will run for 30, 40 minutes. And it's why it's important to kind of get your brainstorming and planning set up and done really well. So let's see where to go with this. Let me find another example of a wreckit prompt. Oh, I know what I'm going to do. Let's see here. Okay, so I have several copies of, I had wreckit do a little AGI testing this week for fun because I was testing cloud sandboxes and I had wreckit basically copy itself into Rust, a different language. And man, cursor, please don't ever do this anymore. And this will show you a little bit more of an advanced version. So this was a single one shot of I used a voice tool. Whoop. I use Super Whisper. I know Whisper Flow is great too. You can see it did not get the term wreckit correct, but I sit and I'll talk into Whisper Flow or Super Whisper. It'll write all this down, and then it produces a list of things to go work on, items 1 through 6. And again, here's your backlog, right? Within that, here's that item.json that we saw in the previous tool. So the name of the story, the title, section of core, state implementing, wreckit tool exists in TypeScript and needs to be ported. Not all stories are done, so there were some errors, but then what it does is it'll go do some research. And so here's my research document. This was completely generated by wreckit and Claude code underneath, which is what, again, is so cool about this. So automated, but it leaves the breadcrumbs. So me, as I'm looking at somebody doing work on a production piece of code, I want to go back and look at this, because if something didn't come out, if the recipe didn't bake correctly, this is where you're going to start to find it. And the wreckit tool is designed to help people learn, right? To be better to prompt better, to shape their documents better. So wreckit tool exists in TypeScript, needs to be ported to a new implementation while preserving all existing features. Goes down, and here it got it right. So I didn't even tell it that. And it found, here's the copy of wreckit on my local file system. It goes and gets all the, hey, here's how you built it. Entry point, state machine. It did a full architectural analysis of how the tool worked, agent execution, prompt system, Git operations, file system and config, TUI, and then technical considerations. So how I designed it from an architectural point of view, and directory structure, because the directories, I want to make sure that the Rust tool could work the same as the Node.js tool, right? I could swap back and forth, state machine, agent backends, blah, 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 blah. Step 2 is the plan. And so the second prompt is it does the work to plan and write a markdown document that me coaching someone can go in and analyze what they did, right? We all make mistakes. The mistake is not the problem. Fixing and coaching and correcting the mistake is over 50% of my job these days, as it should be, right? Again, I think that, I love coding, but teaching and coaching and, is a key part of it. So current state, it goes down through, and it did this for every single item in my backlog. Now, these are unfinished, it looks like. Claude Code SDK. But we can see once it does that, it actually does, if anybody's used Jira, which Jira should, I'm not a fan of Jira. I won't directly trash them on a stream, but it's an older tool. Unfortunately, I think they're going to fall behind in the AI native future. But it took my plan document and broke it into user stories now. So think, if, again, using the Jira analogy, here's my epic. Through the brainstorm process, I dumped my epic into the item.json, and maybe we should rename it. That actually would be a fun one. It's a breaking change, so maybe, to think about that. But that's actually as I'm talking this out, and you just see my thought process here. But the item.json is the epic, and then prd.json. So this concept does come from, and I borrowed it from Ryan Carson. So Ryan, he's on X. You should follow him. He is a builder in residence for AMP Code. Love the AMP Code tool. And he put out a Ralph Wiggum technique, a bash script for how he uses it. And part of what he did is this prd.json. So I built off of that. Once again, why? because we can see what the agent is doing. And you can see maybe, some pending stuff there, but this builds out the entire plan for setting up cargo.toml, defining schema types, and going down the list. Now, part of my job as a tool builder is to evaluate how it does with these really, really big builds. And again, I'm kind of looking at some stuff off of that. Here's a progress log of what it did. This is another part of the Ralph technique, because Ralph needs to know what it did and where it did it. But yeah, I let this run for a couple of hours. It wrote, and I was going over the code, the output. It did a pretty good job. Here's all of my commands, and I don't have, again, I've tweeted screenshots of this, so I don't want to go into it, but that's sort of the deep technical overview of another example of what Ralph can do. Let's go back and check on our TypeScript bug. So you see, despite this bug being fixed, it went ahead and did the full research, consolidate the idea. So this is actually kind of interesting now. I need a little more screen space here. So I apologize because it's small, but I need to look at this, because what it did during the item.json phase, the brainstorming phase, is it went in and fixed the problem and has not written any more code. So maybe we're not at implementation yet. But what does it say? Okay, so remove the duplicate ID. That's pending. The change has already been made in the working tree. This story is about verifying and committing the change. Okay, so it's actually going to do the work to commit the change. That's pretty smart. Add the changelog entry. That makes a lot of sense. New section on release. So it's being a good citizen there. Verify no code references. So again, it's interesting that this is going to go a lot deeper than the agent did. And you can see it's actually a really good, again, case study of how the value of the research plan implement loop hammers through a lot deeper. Now, again, one aspect of this, and that ties it back to our thinking of how the wreckit token is going to work, because I know a lot of new people joined. The wreckit token, and we're going to package this into a desktop app, is the first thing. Reason is it makes it easier for non-technical people to use. That's the goal. Again, we want to teach and put these tools into people's hands as much as possible. They will need LLM tokens. I mean, you can see we're burning. Let me show you. Here's my usage dashboard. Last 30 days, I've burned 500 million tokens. And I started 14 days ago. And I still feel like I'm not burning enough. This is ZAI Coder. I have talked about the ZAI Coder GLM 4.7 Pro model. That's what I use. That's what I'm using with Claude Code. They had some releases today. I saw a Flash model come out. We may end up using that. We'll see. But again, 500 million tokens, and I don't feel like I'm using enough personally. And wreckit is the path to do that. Other people are going to need to do this too. LLMs are the fuel. Those LLM tokens are the fuel for AI. And so part of the desktop app will be making that easier for people, but then making it then able to buy it through crypto. So that's going to be our unique piece. Apps they ship will bring attention to the wreckit economy, and we're going to build the flywheel from there. More details going to come out on the website on this, but so while it is a lot more thorough, here's the progress log as it's working. Add the changelog entry, manually test the CLI. So it's actually going through and doing the testing, which is great. Testing here is something that we'll talk about, that I love talking about, that's called agentic back pressure, where you tell the agent to figure out what it did, if it worked or not. And unit tests are a way to do this. So, we're done. Okay, so it took us 12 minutes. Now, again, why that may have been longer than a normal flow, again, the idea agent knocked it out for us. I have in wreckit built over 500 unit tests, 607 tests that all pass. So that's part of what I do to put in this agentic back pressure when I'm working on wreckit, for it to know how to fix itself and to, again, know that it's producing quality. So yeah, and then it did the git commit. So commit hash, let's see, git log. I have this set to, there's two modes, whether it does a PR or not. And because I am the only one that really works on wreckit right now, I have it that just kind of commit to the main branch. Changes already in the working tree, automated verification. And okay, so let's do this next idea, because where are we at? So here's my code. It did not include the wreckit folder. So again, little tweaks right now. We're going to commit this and push it. So now I need to do wreckit. Yeah. Oh, I know why. So oh. Bun. What did I name this command? Oh, bun watch. So that code that we just built had to get rebuilt. And now my local version of wreckit, npm lsg, is pointed back at this code base. So that version up here, too many arguments, that version of the code was still in. And now this should not work. And we'll see if I'm embarrassed or not. No, it didn't work. npm install sg. Okay, so it took it out. Okay, so there's something else going on. And too many arguments, expected 0 arguments, but got 1. Oh, that's the base wreckit command. That was something else entirely. So that's a bug. And so let's do, and I'm going to copy this. So actually, we're going to do something else. I'm going to make a new file. I'm going to show you a different way to do brainstorming. Bug. When I type get idea, the idea subcommand is not in the code, but I get a weird output. I want to protect against this because error message is not helpful. Paste in the code. Oops. Okay, that's bug number 1. Second bug, when I was chatting with the idea agent, it went ahead and fixed the issue during the brainstorm process. Investigate and add more guard. Do not block, but show warnings. Okay, I've put 2 bugs into this document and I froze. So let me turn my video back off and on. I've got a new streaming setup and it has some issues. That's why we keep backups. Hey, we're back. Okay. So you can take a document, and I'm going to feed that into wreckit. This is a little bit more of the automated brainstorm idea. And if you have, so again, what I'll do is I'll like write down and pour a whole bunch of ideas into a document. And I can, I do voice notes. I can do just chatting out and about. And I want to pour this in. I want to have wreckit queue up all those ideas. Behind the scenes, this is not going to pop me into the agent where it talks. It's just going to go and just go do it. So improve error handling. Item 1, here's the story. Improve the error idea, and then add guardrails against premature code. All right, so then we just type wreckit again, and I'm going to close this, or at least minimize it. This is the speed run. And then off we go. More toasty in here. Okay, while that's going, I do want to see how it comes out the other end. And again, these things take a while. The agents do not move quickly. That is the point. They're not meant to move quickly, and you have to leave your laptop open. They have to kind of do their thing. It's going through, checking the Commander.js source code to understand how it's going on, and we'll watch the files pop in as the agent is doing the work. So again, we can take a look at that. Any other questions right now? Nope. Okay. Well, what I'll go ahead and do is post screenshots of this then. We've been streaming for about an hour. I'm going to go ahead and wrap us up here. But definitely join the X community. We'll be tweeting, and again, these are we're in a really innovative space, and we're going to use the attention from the wreckit token, from the crypto community, to turn this into something real. Again, if you read my post yesterday about crypto being directed energy, it's kind of a big brain type thing, but that really is the point. We're going to drive this attention into the end goal of build, ship, teach. We're going to have tools that people will be able to use to build and ship apps, and yeah, we'll go from there. So, and our wreckit token community is the first group that will get access to these tools and be able to learn and use them. So Tango, we did talk about some utility and some burning mechanisms. There, again, there's we need a little bit more work to figure out what that looks like. We have a bunch of ideas for a token utility, but due to the nature of how the Bags platform works, we don't, again, hold control over the token contract specifically. So we're trying to work to get in touch with Finn from Bags. If anybody in the community can help with that, we'd appreciate it. And then, one step at a time here, right? Again, I think we're really going to go minimal on FUD and just promising anything. I like to be pretty based in, what we know we can do, where the roadmap is, and then we just consistently execute. So that's where we're going. Thanks. I'll see you on X, and we'll wrap it up there.